Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Madam Clerk, I call this meeting to order. Attorney Brown.
Good afternoon, Mayor Johnson, Commissioners. We will request a motion to go into executive session for the discussion of pending and potential litigation, personnel, and real estate.
Motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion in the second. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
Mr. Guilfoyle?
Is in the lead?
Okay. That motion carries with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Franham out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're now adjourned to executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate your patience. We're waiting on the county attorney and the clerk, and we'll be ready to get started. Again, we apologize for our tardiness. You can do your thing. The chair recognizes to Commissioner Alvin Mason. He'd like to make a point of personal privilege, and following him, we're going to have Commissioner Francine Scott. Commissioner Mason, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A week ago, over a week and a half ago, we had a delegation that went to down to the state capitol to speak with the Senate Veterans Committee to determine whether or not Augusta, Georgia would receive a veteran cemetery. Unfortunately, I got sick the night before and was not able to present for the city. So I just wanted to commend my brother commissioner down here, Brother Tony Lewis, who stepped in the gap and briefed the Senate Veterans Committee. And as a result of that, Augusta, Georgia received for the first time a letter of support from the Senate Veterans Committee that will go to the legislative delegation as well as the Senate for $12 million for Augusta Richmond County to get a veteran cemetery. Now, it's not over yet, but we've never gotten this far. And with that letter from the Senate Veterans Committee chairman is going to take us a long way in getting a state veteran cemetery for our folks here in Augusta Richmond County. So I just want to say kudos to Commissioner Lewis for stepping in the gap on very, very short notice and presenting on behalf of the city. And so I wanted to say thank you to our colleague there. At the same time, I wanted to give some thanks, and I think she may have left out. No, she's there. Our city administrator. When I brought this to our city administrator in a very short period of time, she executed all the logistical requirements, the bus, and so forth to get us down there. And also want to thank my commission colleagues for supporting that endeavor for us to take on the monetary cost of getting the bus down there. We took 29 veterans down to the state capitol to represent Augusta, Georgia. So we're we're further than we've ever been in receiving a veteran cemetery right here in Augusta, Richmond County, which would be off of Tobacco Road. It also falls in District 6 off of Tobacco Road out by Gracewood. And so that's the area that we're looking at. So again, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate the colleagues, and I also appreciate our interim administrator for acting so quickly and coordinating the logistical efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. Great work. I was actually there on the day the veterans went up, and we were well represented at the Capitol. Thank you so much. Before we move forward, Commissioner Francine Scott from the 9th. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a point of privilege to announced that former City Councilwoman Kathleen Beasley passed last week, and I would like to ask that we pause right now for a moment of silence. Her funeral service will be Saturday at 2 o'clock at Miles Memorial on MLK. So if we can keep the family in prayer for former City Councilwoman Kathleen Beasley. Let us bow our heads for a moment of silence. Amen.
And thank you so much for that acknowledgement, Commissioner Francine Scott. With that, Madam Clerk, I call this meeting back to order. Attorney Brown.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. We will request a motion to execute the closed meeting affidavit.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, we're voting.
Mr. Williams. Try it again. There's the charm. Thank you. That motion carries with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Franham out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Brown, are there any motions as a result of our executive session?
Yes, sir. We will request a motion to task the HR director to bring back to the commission next week a recommended recruitment process for the position of Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Augusta.
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second from the commissioner from the 9th. Colleagues, we're voting.
Yes.
Repeat the motion. Yes, sir. Please restate the motion for
A
clarity.
motion to task the HR director to bring back to the commission next week a recommended recruitment process for the position of Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Augusta.
All right, to that motion, there is a motion and a proper second. Colleagues, we're voting. If there are no further questions.
That motion carries with Mr. Johnson and Franum out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Attorney Brown.
We will request a motion to approve a 3-year contract commencing February the 29th, 2024 for Scott Roundtree to continue to serve as Chief Appraiser at the current annual salary of $148,526 and benefits and other terms as set forth therein.
Motion. Second.
All right, there's a motion from Commissioner Guilfoyle, second by Commissioner Scott. Seeing no further questions, Madam Clerk, we're voting.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before I close this meeting out, I guess I need to announce that Administrative Services does not have a quorum today, correct? Correct, Chairwoman? So if you're here for Administrative Services, if you're part of today's agenda, I have to inform you that we will not be covering Administrative Services today, that those agenda items will be forwarded to the next commission meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I've got one item I need to ask the administrator about.
You have it, sir. You have the floor. Commissioner from the 5th.
Ms. Bonner, I'm not sure if we can do this or not. This one item the administrator has requested is for the Administrative Services Committee. Can we transfer that one over to the Public Service Committee, or it has to stay on the Administrative Committee? All right, I was going to ask the administrator if that's something she wanted to do,
Commissioner, I can enter the item to appear on the agenda for next week.
and that's fine. Okay.
All right. That being said, Madam Clerk, I hereby close out this meeting and turn it over to the Committee Services, Public Service Chairman.
All right, we're going to call this one to order. Ms. Bonner, our regular chair, is not here today. Any other items we need to add to this, Ms. Bonner?
Sir.
So we're good.
Yes, sir.
Item number 8, I had some discussions with some folks, and they want to move this item back 45 days, Ms. Bonner.
Item number 8.
Number 8, they want to move that item back 45 days if we don't have any objection. I would like to consent items number 9, 10, 11, and 12, if we don't have any problems with that.
Well, can we just consent 8 as well with the stipulation to be returned in 45 days?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jackson, if I may, I am the chairman. Mr. Jackson, 45 days, is that what we're looking at?
So
Okay.
we'll just add that one to the consent as well, then.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
All right, so can we get a motion to vote on our consent?
Mr. Guilfoyle and
Ms.
who
Pulliam?
second that? Ms.
Second.
Pulliam? Okay.
All right. We're good. Oh, Ms. McKnight, are you in there?
Yes, sir. I just got a quick question about the bus tour for Friday, March 15th that we're consenting.
Okay.
Where are we going?
I'm not sure. Administrator?
Commissioner, this item was requested by this body to review areas of our community which are heavily laden regarding dilapidated homes and structures that need to be demolished. A map is still being finalized, but one will be sent to the commission because part of the motion was that the commission review the map to ensure certain areas were visited.
I don't know what she's saying, but can we go ahead and vote?
That motion carries with Mr. Franum absent.
All righty. So we're going to start.
We go
with
top
number
to
one.
bottom, sir.
There he is.
Good afternoon, Brian Kepner, Deputy Director of Planning and Licensing. First is a AN 24-4. It's an existing location with new ownership. Mr. Patel requesting a retail package, liquor, beer, and wine service for overpass package located at 3745A Peach Orchard Road. Planning and Sheriff's Office recommended approval.
Would you have him come up, sir, to give his name and address?
Name and address, sir.
Hi, my name is Janil Kumar B. Patel. Reside at 323 Clearwater Lane, Grove Town, Georgia 30813.
All right. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion, Mr. Guilfoyle?
Motion.
Second.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Thank you, Ms. Bonner.
We're voting, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, Ms. Bonner.
Charge it to your head,
I
not
got
your
you.
heart.
I got you.
Okay. That motion carries. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
All right, number two, AN 24-5. This is a new location. Cheryl Strobridge requesting consumption on premise for liquor, beer, and wine for the Allure Lounge, which is being changed to Allure Augusta. Location is 2059 Gordon Highway. Planning and Sheriff's Department's recommended approval. Is the applicant here?
Need your name and address, ma'am.
Cheryl Strobridge, 525 8th Street, Augusta, 30901.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second, Ms. Bonner, to approve. We vote?
It's unanimous.
All right, number three, AN 24-6. This is a new location. Domenico Simmons requesting consumption on premise for beer, wine with Sunday sales for the Toast, the event bar located at 1135 Broad Street. Planning and Sheriff's Department recommended approval. Is the applicant here?
What, this? Okay.
Name and address, sir.
Dominicio Simmons, 1135 Broad Street, Augusta, Georgia, 30901.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second, Ms. Bonner.
Yes, sir. It's
Thank you.
unanimous.
Number four, request by Julia King for a massage operator's license to be used in connection with Belladonna Aesthetics, located at 3114 Augusta Tech Drive. Planning and Sheriff's Office recommended approval. Is the applicant here?
Name and address, please.
Julia King, 3114 Augusta Tech Drive, Augusta, Georgia, 30906, Suite 108.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
It's unanimous.
And number 5, request by Miranda Wade for a massage operator's license to be used in connection with Miranda's Therapeutic Touch Massage to be located at 3958 Wrightsboro Road. Planning and Sheriff's Department have recommended approval. The applicant here?
Name and address, please.
Miranda Wade, 3958 Wrightsboro Road, Suite C, Augusta, Georgia, 30909.
Okay, is that your personal, is that
That's
your
the
business
business.
or your home address?
The business address.
You give us your home address?
PO Box 5326, Augusta, Georgia, 30916.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Voting, Ms. Bonner.
It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Proceeding, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 6, presentation by Ms. Lorena Pope Mathis to discuss 2 properties on her street and holding the property owners more accountable. Ms. Mathis? Okay.
Question on that. Ms. Bonner, if I could,
Sir.
please. Ms. Mathis, this is actually in reference to some properties that are in Sand Ridge subdivision. I would just like to say I will get with the code enforcement and our to help address this. But it should probably be moved on forward because she's not here, but I will inform them of what the situation is. She's informed me.
Okay, so can we,
Well, she phoned in to say that she didn't think she would be able to make it. She was not feeling well. So apparently, yeah.
What was going on, so I can, I don't know if you want to.
I was just going to move it forward without a recommendation. Is that okay? All right. So
What,
let's
to the
just-
commission meeting?
Yeah, without a recommendation.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on that, Ms. Bonner?
We could do it without objection.
I'm looking at the face.
Without objection.
I don't think they're checked.
Okay.
Okay.
Item number 7 is a presentation by Mr. Francis Christian regarding power and water disconnect at 5th Street Marina.
Yes.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Please give your name and address, and you have a maximum of 5 minutes. I understand that you have had some discussions with the administrator. Have you had some discussions with the administrator?
I've talked to her.
Okay, and so you plan to bring us some more information other than what you've already discussed with her?
No, hadn't had any other discussion.
Okay, the floor is yours, sir.
Francis Christian, 261 Broad Street.
Thank you.
I have the report from JL Consultants, and the highlights of it, like on page 6, it states that most of the, just a few obvious defects. Some of those are, they need a thorough inspection, that wiring to be tested and the test for ground where needed. And in that report, they said this correction would be minor miscellaneous electricity repairs. On page 7, the building needs minor work to be brought up to code. Obvious instances, the dock and the power, they have broken lines, and there's photographs in the report. On page 12, the power pedestal should be cleaned regularly and checked for corrosion as needed. On page 16, we're starting this week. They're talking about power cords and they be brought to the right size. We're going to insist that the boat owners have the right size power cord and one that's designed for marine use. Most of them are already there. On page 24, they got a picture of the power panels. I suggest they put a fence around it, and that isolates it from the public. On page 25, again, it's they're saying that with the testing and proper maintenance, that the system could be extended for, the electrical system could be extended for 5 to 10 more years. And that's about it, other than the report says is basically minor repairs. And I'd like the council to approve the report and do the minor repairs.
Ms. Administrator, would you chime in, please? Madam Administrator.
Sure. Commissioner Williams, thank you. And Mr. Christian and I have had multiple conversations, both in person and by phone. While he has identified several page numbers within one report, there were 2 reports that were conducted. The one report that he is referencing from JLA concludes that the electrical systems for the 5th Street Marina should be tested and repaired immediately and redesigned and replaced when possible. So unfortunately, Mr. Christian states that these repairs are minor, whereas the consultants have also stated that the electrical systems create hazards that are potentially dangerous to the public and should be fixed and tested by qualified professionals as soon as possible. Of the cost that Mr. Christian has communicated to staff, it is significantly less than what our contractors have exhibited to Augusta, which is in the range of millions. I would recommend that the Central Services Department develop a scope of work to replace the electrical as well as the boat dock at the marina facility. This would also include a determination of what the estimated cost would be for any repairs that would be deemed necessary to ensure the safety and well-being of all of those who utilize this facility.
Okay. Does that include your statement, ma'am?
It does.
Okay. Mr. Garrett.
Thank you, Chairman. Hey, sir, just have a couple questions. We've had an opportunity to look over the lease that you have in place with the city, and you know it clearly shows where the city are supposed to do inspections, as well as you, and some things that are supposed to be done, such as upkeep on the docks and letting the city know about repairs that need to be made. And it looks like you know throughout the years you've done that in a pretty concise way. I have one question, really, though, when it comes to the boats and the residents that live on them, and I think some probably are rented out for Airbnbs and different things like that. How is sewage discharged off of those boats?
How what?
How is sewage discharged off of those boats?
The boats either have a...
Sir.
Okay.
Yes.
We have a pump out station, and they pump out the sewage there. Some boats have a sanitation device in the boat that cleans it, and then all the effluent that goes into the river is sanitized at that point before it actually reaches the river.
Okay. I just know that there's been some reports of some dumping and some increased levels in the river. But in regards to the current lease that you have in place that started back in 2021, how long before 21 were you also the leasee at the marina? How long have you been there?
I've been there 7 years.
Okay. So prior to you signing the new lease in 21, did these electrical problems exist, or is this something that's taken place over the last couple of years?
Facility's 29 years old, and I'm sure there were problems, but we wasn't aware of them until the past 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so even when you signed the new lease, you knew about some of the problems ongoing. In regards to the amount of boats that you have there currently, how many are used daily? How many of the boats are used daily? How many people are living there on a daily basis?
There's approximately 8 people living on the boats right now.
And how many boats do you have docked?
37.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, Mr. Guilfoyle.
Thank you. Mr. Christian, as far as what you have in this lease for the past 7 years, tell me how it's been working with the city as far as them maintaining, because they are required, number one, to do semi-annual inspections. And when you actually did your inspections faithfully, we received that today from the interim administrator. And every time you did a report, did they come out and fix it?
No.
At any given time for the past 7 years?
Up until about 3 years ago, yes. And then about 3 years ago, it just about became non-existent. And until yesterday morning, that's the first time there's actually been an inspection by the city in the 7 years I've been there.
And so with it being a safety issue, you reported that with the electrical?
Every month we turn in a safety report to the county, and it goes to the recreation department. And we do that monthly.
Did it tie with anybody else or just the Parks and Recs department?
Just the department, just the rec department, and then I don't know what they do with it.
I hate that this is going on. As far as your fuel missing, kind of enlighten me. Who would have keys to that? Gas?
Gasoline.
Right. Who would have keys or access to that tank?
I believe they broke the lock and pumped the fuel out.
Okay. Did you do any of the work to the electrical system yourself?
No, sir. It was decided not to have an electrical license or a plumbing license. I was told by the rec department 7 years ago not to do any electrical or plumbing, that they'd have to have a certified plumber or electrician.
So different then. All right. Mr. Christian, hopefully we come to some kind of solution for out there, and I'm going to hold off any more questions for right now, but thank you.
Yes. Interim Administrator, I think we asked you to do several things concerning this situation. One was to take a look at it to see exactly what we need to do with this. So what would be your recommendation at this point in time? Mr. Christian wants us to pay for some things here, but you're looking at the bigger picture that's saying that we may need to look at $3 or $4 million worth of repairs. So what is your recommendation right now?
Commissioner Williams, I recommend that we task the Central Services Department to develop a scope of work to replace both the electrical and the floating dock system at the marina.
Okay, is that okay with the other committee members? Hang on a second. Brandon Garrett.
Thanks, sir. Another question for you, sir. In regards to the boats and their hookup to power, you said only 8 people are currently living there, but are all 37 boats hooked up to power on a continuous basis?
Some of the boats are like a pontoon boat, and of the 37 on there, I think 30 of them are hooked up to the power.
Okay. And so if, for whatever reason, there were some power interruptions while we're trying to do these repairs, what would happen to those boats?
Well, it depends on the extent of the repairs. My suggestion, you do like 6 slips at a time, And that way, those boats could be either moved or a power cord gone to the slip next to them. But if they have to do all the repairs at once, then the boat owners would be inconvenienced.
Well, I mean, anytime you have power interruption, somebody's going to be inconvenienced. I mean, we understand that. But what I'm getting at, are we going to have boats that are sinking because their bilge pumps aren't able to run, or can these boats run off of battery power while we're doing repairs?
They could run off the battery power for a couple of weeks, but at that point, they'd have to remove the battery, take it home and charge it, and bring it back out. Most of the boat owners, the smaller boats would probably relocate for a period of time.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, Ms. Pulliam.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. My question is for the wattage for each dock. Are you keeping track of what each boat's wattage is? Like the wattage that they actually need. So if the plug that they're plugging into says that it can't be over a certain amount, are you actually keeping track of that?
Pretty much. There's different power systems at the dock. Some are 110, but then some have a 30-amp circuit, some have a 50-amp circuit. So they can't plug in something that's really not appropriate.
So you are actually keeping track of each?
Not keeping track, but when they first come there, we make sure that the plug they plug into is appropriate for that boat, for that particular slip.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Guilfoyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As for the interim administrator, Ms. Dowse, as far as you want to do this all at one time, number one, have anybody reached out to the dock people? One, you got to find the product. I don't think they have that much readily available. I do like what Mr. Christian says, is do it in phases so it doesn't completely kill his source of income, because I think the only two, Mr. Christian, you can answer this, the only two source of incomes is fuel and docking fees. What other fees do you get? Your little gift shop?
Yes.
So did you take that in consideration, Ms. Dowse?
I did, Commissioner, and I spoke with two industry experts that install boat docks throughout the area. Their consensus was the same regarding a holistic approach versus a phased approach. Because the electrical systems run congruent with one particular subset, this approach was what was recommended to ensure that if Augusta replaces the docks in the years to come, the electrical work that would be done in the immediate time frame would be considered duplicative once we go back and replace the boat docks.
So as far as the rent, lease, et cetera, does that get put on hold because there's no source of income coming in at that time?
When I met with Mr. Christian last week, that was the source of our conversation, discussing a reduced rent rate as a result of his loss of income. That conversation has not concluded.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion other than what the administrator has suggested? She has suggested, if you would say it again, Madam Administrator.
I recommend that the Central Services Department develop a scope of work to replace the electrical systems and boat dock at the marina. This will then be turned into a procurement for Augusta to determine a cost as well as a funding source.
Okay, is that okay with you? If so, I need a motion.
Motion to approve as stated by the administrator.
Mr. Christian, the end user, good with it?
I didn't hear you.
Do you understand what the administrator's recommendation is?
At this time, all the power towers don't really need replacing. They just may need a circuit breaker installed. And I believe a complete overhaul of the marina and the power system should actually be addressed in maybe the next SPLOST system. I think it's coming up in 2 to 3 years. Because the consultants say with proper maintenance, we can get 5 to 10 years out of what we have now.
Well, with the recommendation that she gave, that doesn't mean that we would do all the work. That means that we would go out and look at what needs to be done and get a total cost. We may end up breaking it up, doing it the way that you want to do it, but our recommendation today is to send somebody out to look at what needs to be done, to see what cost may be or what have you. We may end up doing it in the splash. You may end up with maybe $5 or $6 worth of work right now.
Yeah.
And then the million or so through the splash. So that's what the recommendation is today, to have somebody, central services, to go out and do the work that needs to be done so they can come back and report to us and tell us what needs to be done. That's what she's recommending today.
And I agree with that.
Okay, so you going to second it? You want me to second it, Mr. Guilfoyle? I'll second it. All right. So we got a motion and a second, Ms. Bonner. Can we vote?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
All right. I think that
We have one item, let me see, item 13.
item 13.
Yes, sir. Presentation by Glendale Historic Preservation Committee regarding petition to close the Smart Grocery Shopper Stop.
Okay. Are they here?
I believe so.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon. I need your name and your address.
Name Dan Scott, address 1723 Cornell Drive.
All right, you got 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm here today to address, I believe you guys spoke with Smart Grocery last week. One thing I noticed is that the community was not there to respond or have any input. One thing I continue to notice is that when you speak to these stores, these particular store owners, the community is never there to tell their side. And today, we're here to express our concern in regards to the Smart Grocery Store, the Olive Road Bridge, and just the area in general. It's been disinvested since I was a child. I've lived in that area. I'm 47. I've lived in that area since I was a child. I've seen that whole strip be affluent with businesses, you know, bread stores, movie theaters, and things of that nature. So you can imagine growing up and seeing that area constantly decline. One thing that has remained constant is that store. And it has not ever been done us any good, you know. I believe you guys are closing down the wrong bridge. You're closing the Olive Road Bridge. You need to think about other bridges in that community that are not doing us any good. The store is a bridge to our community that has to.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm right here in front of you, right here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It says that you were going to talk about the Smart Grocery Shopper.
Yeah, Smart Grocery. That's the shopper stop. They own the shopper stop. They need to go. We don't want them in the community anymore.
You have to kind of stay on topic. You're wandering a little bit.
Say that again.
You're wandering a little bit. You kind of have to stay on topic.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Smart Grocery Store, correct?
Yeah, and the Olive Road Bridge. They're right next to each other, kind of.
But it doesn't say anything about Olive Road Bridge. So you.
Oh, this one is just talking about Smart Grocery?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's what's on
the bridge itself, I mean, not the bridge, but the store, just definitely it's not doing anything constructive for the community, man. Their concern last week is that criminals and thugs in the community are the problem. But if the store is serving these individuals and the products that they're serving, these individuals is attracting them, then individuals in the community, we feel that there should be something different to attract more constructive things to the community. The store stated they make almost over $25,000 a month on just gas. When you look at the rest of the community, that's not reflected in the community. They're not reinvesting in the community. We do not need another cancer in the community, pretty much. We need to rid this community of that particular cancer. We have also collected signatures, have about over 80 signatures, have 20 more online, about 100-something signatures in regards to this store. I just want to know, I know Catherine McKnight, you brought up some solutions, right? But the one solution that hasn't been addressed is how will these stores work with the individuals in the community? The community is not full of thugs and criminals. There are people there that have skills and other things that can actually help contribute to better things in the community. But right now, that store is definitely not something that we need to continue to move forward with. I have individuals from the community. The other committee member, she left. She had to go, but they wanted to speak as well, or just state something.
Okay, so what's your suggestion?
My suggestion is if they cannot contribute to helping us develop more productive activities and things up there in that area, they need to go along with the crime that they're saying that's there. They need to go, because if they first go, you'll see the crime leave, because the crime is only there attracted to that store. We are now at 1665 Olive Road. That's a blighted property. I would also invite the committee or the commission to, on that tour you guys are doing about the communities, drive through Glendale, drive through Olive Road, and you can see that there at 1665 Olive Road, there's a building that's been there for over 20-some years, just deteriorating. And what we want to do is bring that building back up to more productive use as one of the productive activities in that area. I mean, the store could collaborate with us on it because they own a space an empty lot right next to the building. That's something they could collaborate with us on. But if they have no interest in helping us do anything constructive in that community, then it's about time that they, leave or leave that community and let us figure out how we can do some better things. Because right now, the older residents are scared to speak up and step up.
Okay.
I'm some of the age of some of the individuals out there that's hanging out. I understand from their POV, and I understand from both sides. But right now, we cannot continue to allow this store to drain our community of our resources. They're making money. I mean, there's nothing that they can do possibly to help us do more constructive things in the community. They're selling a bunch of junk food at the store. There's nothing healthy that we have there, period. I'm trying to figure out how anybody, a commissioner or anybody, think that you can negotiate with the problem and ask the problem to find a solution for itself. That's what you did last week. You gave these guys every option in the book. I have no sympathy for them. I'm gonna tell you now. But
sir,
you can't negotiate with the problem and to find a solution when they are the problem.
Gotcha. Your time has really expired. Somebody just corrected me. Your original ask did include Olive Road and the bridge. On this one, it's not on here, so I'll give you a minute to talk about the bridge if you want to.
The bridge is at the corner of a historic location. Pendleton King Park is on the National Historic Registry. That bridge sits right at the corner of the backside of Pendleton King Park. If we really wanted to find funds to remediate that area, to make that bridge or that area safe and all that, there are grants out there for historic preservation and things of that nature. But right now, Commissioner Guilfoyle suggested that we have a bar for individuals that, they hit the bar before they get to the bridge. That hasn't been considered, but you guys are going to consider the bridge. So that's the only thing I want to say about the bridge. The bridge is a historic landmark, for one. It is an access for us to get to the park from two sides. When that train stops, like today, when that train stops on that bridge, we can't get through on the other side to get to the park. And our only other way to get to the park was going under the bridge to get to the other side of the park. But now if you close that area off, I mean, what is the positive or constructive point to do that when you guys hadn't even tried to put the bar up that Commissioner Guilfoyle has suggested that we do? So what I'm stating is that the Olive Road Bridge is the wrong bridge to close. The store and other things in the community, those are bridges to our community as well, and we need to consider closing the real problems or the real bridges in the community. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody? I don't see anyone in the queue. Thank you for coming and sharing your opinion, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, yes, sir, if we could just acknowledge to the speaker that on next Tuesday, the commission will be considering the suspension of the license for the grocery store. So if you would like your community, you as well, to come at our next meeting, next Tuesday at 2 p.m. here in the chamber,
Yes,
the commission will make consideration.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. You did. Yes, sir. Now we're going to just receive this as information without objection.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Madam Clerk, are we moving on to engineering services here? Since
Yes, sir, we
admin?
are.
All right, engineering services has come to order. Is there any additions or deletions, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
No additions or deletions. I would ask my colleagues to consider a consent agenda of items 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. And I would also ask for consideration for item number 9 to move to the next committee cycle.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk. Was there any other comments, concerns? Hearing none. Commissioners, vote.
It's unanimous.
All right, Madam Clerk, top to bottom.
All right, item number 1, a presentation by Rhoda H. Hand regarding the flood on June 22nd, 2023 at 2513 Argonne Drive and neighboring houses.
Good afternoon, Ms. Helm. If you would, just state your name and address for the record, if you would, please.
Ms. Rhoda Hahn, I live at 2513 Argonne Drive, Augusta, Georgia, 30906.
All right, thank you. And you have a presentation for us?
Yes, I'm here today to represent my neighbors and myself. We had a flood on June 22nd, 23. All of the insurance companies denied our claims. They said the flood was due to a flash flood warning and poor maintenance of the sewage system that the city didn't maintain. So everything was denied on all homeowners insurance. We had to have our houses mitigated. We had waters 36 to 40 inches up high. And my particular house, which is similar to everyone on that street, my house was gutted out, was all their walls was taken out. You can stand in the middle and look throughout the whole house. All of the bathroom, everything out of the bathroom was taken out, and it was to be treated for mold and sewage. I had to live with friends and for a while. Didn't have no place to go. The only someone stepped in to help us was the Red Cross. They gave each one of us to like $325 a piece, which wasn't a lot. A lot of my neighbors couldn't afford mitigation, so they're homeless at this time. Some of the houses are not livable. I just got back into my home about 5 months ago. I was lucky. I had a good FICO score and credit cards. And that's how I rebuilt my house back. But my neighbors didn't have that luxury. And some of them are still out. They're homeless. The houses are closed down because they didn't have them mitigated for bacteria and mold and all of that, so they can't live in their homes. And I lost everything except for a twin bed and some personal items in my home. They came in, gutted out the toilet, the sink, the bathtub, the hot water tank, every interior door inside. I lived in that house for 2 or 3 months on cement floors with all the walls out. And I had to go out and sort of renovate one room to live in and have the bathroom rebuilt so I can have some place to stay. Otherwise, I would have been homeless.
Okay. All right. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Hahn, thank you for being here today. I know you've contacted my office on numerous occasions regarding this. You mentioned that you had some of your neighbors that were in pretty bad condition like yourself, and I see one that's in the audience. And if you don't mind, sir, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like for him to come up and tell his story because he's one of the gentlemen that we met.
Yes, sir. Is
he's a
that
neighbor.
Gentleman here?
Come on up. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Please. Please, whomever it is, if you would come, you could go to the other mic over there, if you would, please. Give us your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Richard Williams. I reside at 2512 Argonne Drive, which is across the street from Miss Hudd's house. Approximately, I'm going to say probably 20 houses in our little neighborhood, and Mr. Guilfoyle is familiar with our neighborhood. And they got, I say destroyed. I say at least $20,000 to $60,000 dollars worth of damage. My house alone, I'm still, Ms. Hudd was talking about concrete flooring and all. I'm still got concrete flooring, all my baseboards gone. I couldn't afford to get it remodeled. I did get it. I had to borrow $4,500 just to get it decontaminated. And on that note right there, I talked to the fire chief about 3 weeks ago, and he told me they went around and cleaned people's houses and all that, which was not the truth. We did not get no assistance from nobody except for, like Ms. Hudd said, from Red Cross. And I counted 15 houses that people can't get back into the houses because they so contaminated. Bacteria, and y'all know what black mold does within days. If I wouldn't have got Blunt to come in and do the work, decontamination took them 2 weeks. I was in a motel and living with friends and family for almost 2 months. And finally, when the flood happened, y'all had some kind of seminar in Savannah or something, and I got to say, Wayne Guilfoyle came out, and because I've been knowing Wayne for a long time, to check on us in that neighborhood. And the mayor come out. It took about 5 days before the rest of y'all knew what was going on. I reached out to Miss Pulliam, and she came in and assisted. So did Wayne. And but I don't think the rest of y'all knew that neighborhood was that bad. I mean, it was bad. It's bad. I'm still living up. Excuse me. You know, and if I had a family, I couldn't live there. That's it.
Okay, so Mr. Williams, Ms. Hahn, does either one of you have any litigation going on now as far as towards the city at this point?
The insurance company suggests we go after the city, but how can you go after the city when you're trying to establish a place to live?
Yeah.
Well, the only reason why I asked that is because if you've done something illegal now, that we would have to.
No, we don't have any, no.
Okay.
Mr. Mason.
Yes, Rich.
Risk management, I did they come around, but they did not come in our house, and they denied our claims. And I don't have no insurance. Like I said, I had to borrow the money just to get my house decontaminated, and I can't borrow no more money until I get that paid to get my house redone. But yeah, risk management claim, they come in, EMA came in and said we was going to be qualified for FEMA. They said, no, we got denied with that. Then they said GEMA. Then they said the city would come in and do whatever funds y'all have for stuff like this. We got denied on that. Then I was told that a nonprofit group was going to step in. Never heard from them.
Okay, Commissioner Garrett.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Williams, who told you that the city would be stepping in?
Do I now?
You just said that different people told you along the way that different...
different people in the departments, and the mayor also said that they were going to check into different things, and Wayne said he was going to help us. But, you know, if you only got so many people trying to help, it's not going to do no good.
So,
and like I said, I do applaud Wayne and Ms. Pulliam and the mayor for stepping in at, you know, now, you know, if we can get some help now, it's, you know, that old saying, better late than never.
and exactly in regards to asking for help, what are you asking for?
Me personally, I mean, if I could get the $4,500 reimbursement for cleanup, that would help me. That would get my loan paid off to where I can get another loan. But I mean, my house, it's going to take, I was told anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000, depending on just for the basics to get my house back to where it was.
And ma'am, what about you?
Well, I'm mainly here for my neighbors. I was the only one that had flood insurance.
Yeah.
Flood insurance took care of the drilling, but not the content. So the monies they gave me, I paid the credit card. I had over $40,000 in credit card bills. I charged everything on the credit cards. And I just gotten a check, and I paid them off. And I don't have monies for like appliances. All of my appliances, my stove, refrigerator, dishwasher, washer, dryer, hot water tank was all hit with that water, 40 inches high. And I have a refrigerator. I had a mini refrigerator, like $100 and some up for a long time. I just got a refrigerator. So I don't have enough to recoup my appliances.
All right, thank you.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, like Ms. Hudson, where we live at, actually, when I got my house, which was inherited to me, I was told at that time I did not need flood insurance. People across the street, they said that was where the line was. So I didn't get flood insurance. And like I said, and like she said, if the retention pond and the creek would have been maintained, it wouldn't have been that bad. It probably would have been bad, but not like it was. We wouldn't have to go rebuild the entire houses. And like she said, appliances, I lost mine. I lost 80% of my furniture. And like I said before, I had no flood insurance. So there you go.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Commissioner Guilfoyle?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, at the time when I did see Ricky, the water was something like 2 feet at the road. I was showing our clerk some of the pictures from it, and I believe the mayor had met me out there that morning. And the first thing we did is we already seen utilities as well as engineering out there. They were all over the place naturally, but reached out to the administrator as far as where we at as far as FEMA, et cetera. But we went ahead and contacted. That's the reason why you mentioned my name, is we reached out to American Red Cross. I think the mayor reached out to FEMA to try to find some relief. We couldn't meet the threshold of FEMA because it takes so many thousands of people to be affected. And we didn't have that many. But at least the Red Cross out of Savannah did come that evening, but that was as far as the extent that we could go because of risk management. I may even put this brakes on the utilities department because we was going to come in clean your house. It was Ricky's house that I was speaking about in legal, and but we were told from risk management it was act of God. That was the reason why we had to stop at that moment. So, thank you, Rick.
Madam Administrator, could
They
you?
investigated, and they said
Hello?
because of the drainage, the poor drain system, and the flash flood rain, if the drain system had been operating, the rain would have had some place to go, and we wouldn't have had a flood. This is what my insurance company is telling me. And my neighbor's insurance company is telling him. They denied his claim.
Okay, Ms. Hahn, I'm going to let our Madam Administrator have some words here and maybe a recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Mason. As it is evident that several homes in the area were affected by this rain event that occurred in June of 2023, I recommend that you task the administrator with compiling a list of all affected homes and citizens in the area, one, to determine a scope of magnitude, and two, to determine an estimated cost.
I think that would be appropriate. If my commission colleagues would agree, I would ask that that be placed
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, commissioners vote by the usual sign. Maybe I need to vote. All right.
It's unanimous.
All right, so Ms. Hahn, Mr. Williams, city administrator, our administrator is being tasked with the scope of work that's out there and the cost at this point. So that's where we are right now till we can gather that information.
Okay.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
Let's see, what do we have here? Who's left? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 3, approve sanitary sewer connection program, extend the program life via new contract and renewed funding for Augusta Utilities Department is for 1 year with the option to extend for 4 additional.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Our Utilities Director, Director Bynes.
This is just the rebid of the sanitary sewer connection program. We had gotten to the point where we only had 1 plumber left, and so this just reestablishes the program with new plumbers and sets aside another $1 million out of the budget for connecting people as needed.
Commissioner Garrett.
Thank you, Chairman. Got a question for Director Bond.
Sure.
Director Bond, in regards to this program over the last 5 or 6 years that it's been in existence, I know we allocate a certain amount of money each year. I think, is it $1 million towards it? Out of that, how are we doing with that in regards to getting people connected to sewer?
We have not come close to spending that full amount. Originally, the way the program is set up, there's a lot of legal release, liability claims, that sort of thing, that are liability forms that are processed prior to doing the connection. And so historically, they were aggregated into a group, so all the people that wanted to be connected were collected. Then those were bid separately to the members that were part of the program. We have, because of the loss of a lot of staff, that program has not been going forward that way. And it's been more of an opportunistic connection of people who have emergencies. So as they show up and say, here's the emergency situation I have, then we roll them into the program and process them accordingly. I will be back over the summer with an improvement to the program to meet, I think, the original objective as part of the overall bond improvements and work that we're going to be doing.
Do you need to restate that in an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice?
I don't know.
So if you're coming back with a new program or a different way to do this program, do we need to go ahead and proceed with this?
I would go ahead and proceed with this because right now this is going to give me 3 new plumbers that are going to be capable of making emergency connections in that meantime.
Okay, motion to approve.
I'll second it.
We have a motion to second. Commissioner Scott, did she leave out?
Thank you.
Okay, well, not so fast. Okay. I do have a question here in relation to, and I know that you're very familiar with this, the area out off of Willis Foreman and in the Walton area with the issues that are out there. How does this address that, if any at all?
This is really for connections of citizens who've already got existing sewer in the area. In places where there's not existing sewer, this program is not designed to install new sanitary sewer. General rule of thumb is new sanitary sewer in off-site areas is around $1 million a mile. That's a little bit old number now. It's probably more closer to 2. But that gives you kind of a ballpark for extending those. And so this doesn't cover, in residential areas that were not originally installed with sewer.
Are we any closer to addressing those issues out there?
We are, yes, sir. We've got some bond funds that are going to be issued over the summer. A few of the projects that we've discussed are targeted, and I can bring back the status program on those, just so we could say. Yep. So that's been approved, and it's just moving forward, moving through the process of getting all the financial paperwork in order.
We got some very antsy constituents and residents out there that, as you well know.
I certainly do.
Yes. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, commissioners will vote by the usual sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Number 11, sir, that was on the previous agenda.
It's also on finance, isn't it?
Finance, yes. It covered several committee function.
Okay, but we're good then,
But I
right?
think they were all addressed at the previous committee.
Okay,
so.
all right. Well, with that being said, there's no further business before the Engineering Service Committee. We stand adjourned.
I beg your pardon? No, sir. That's why they were on separate committees. But however, he was allowed to address them all under the first committee, so.
And there we have it.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to call finance to order. Do we have any additions or deletions at this time?
No, sir.
Great. So let's.
You may want to consider item 3 as a deletion.
Yeah. Well, if the colleagues don't mind, consent agendas item 1 and 2. I got a.
Second.
Absolutely. Madam Clerk, we got a motion and a second on this item.
Which one, sir?
To consent both 1 and 2.
Were the
Ms. Scott?
questions? Oh, you all were, okay. Are you going to add 3 to that, sir, to delete it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ready when you are, Miss.
Okay.
Madam Clerk.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And finance stands adjourned. I need to tell Jordan how fast we work.
All right, Madam Clerk, I'd like to call public safety to order. Are there any additions or deletions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If not, go ahead.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
On number 1, where's the $140,000 coming from?
I haven't gotten there yet.
No,
but,
you getting ready to try to consent it, so.
no, well, I've just got in contact with the Marshal's Department with Mr. Lampkin, so I'm hoping he's, Marshal's office, I'm hoping he's coming down then if you've got a question. So let me see if we can get him.
You want to approve the minutes?
Yeah, we can go ahead and approve item number 2.
Yeah.
Consent it, if my colleagues are okay with that. Yes, sure. Go ahead, Mrs. Dowse.
Commissioner, this was my entry. I'm requesting this motion because well, I'm sure you might want to read it into the record first, but did you want to approve the minutes? But I did want to let you know that item number 1 was at my request.
Okay. All right.
Huge waiting on the marshal to get here.
Well, I didn't know. I wanted to give the marshal a chance in case he wanted to speak. But if we want to move forward, then
Madam Chair,
we can go ahead and, yes, sir.
I just want to know where the 140 was coming from, and we can close it.
Well, the administrator, you just,
It would be a budget increase, sir, and it would come from contingency.
A budget increase, and it would come from contingency.
Yes.
I got you. I'm good.
All right. So if my colleagues don't object, I'd like to go ahead and consent. Well, let's go ahead and consent 1 and 2. We've already done that, but let's go ahead and make them, we need to go ahead. Good. Got a motion? Need a second? Second. All right. Voting. I'll make it different. Commissioner, okay.
It's unanimous.
All right, well, that concludes public safety. Thank you all.
No, it's really not, but.